Have you ever felt like something is holding you back? As if you're carrying an invisible weight that prevents you from moving toward the life you truly desire? Look at yourself right now. Pause for a second and ask yourself, am I living attached to my past? Or am I open to the abundance that the universe has for me? Carl Jung, one of the most brilliant and revolutionary psychologists of all time, discovered something that would forever change our understanding of the human mind. Our past doesn't just live in our memories, but dwells in our unconscious, silently influencing every decision we make today. Let me share something powerful with you. When you finally release the ties to your past, when you let go of those limiting beliefs, those old pains, those identities that no longer serve you, that's when true abundance begins to flow to you. It's not magic, it's deep psychology. It's the process Jung called individuation, the path to becoming who we're truly meant to be. Today's world is designed to keep us distracted, to prevent us from looking within. We prefer to endlessly scroll, consume without stopping, keep ourselves busy, all to avoid facing those parts of ourselves that hurt, that embarrass us, or that we simply don't understand. Jung knew this. He said that what you deny submits you, what you accept transforms you. Every time you avoid confronting your past, you give it more power over your present. Think about those situations that repeat in your life. Do you notice any pattern? The same arguments, the same types of relationships, the same financial or creative blocks? Jung called this the compulsion to repeat. It's not coincidence. Your unconscious is desperately trying to resolve something pending, to heal something that remains open. But here's the revolutionary truth. You don't need to keep repeating these cycles. Abundance, that feeling of fullness, of sufficiency, of constant flow of well-being, is waiting for you on the other side of those unhealed wounds. Abundance isn't just money, though it includes that too. It's feeling complete, having nurturing relationships, finding purpose, enjoying your vital energy. Jung discovered that our unconscious isn't just a repository of traumas and repressions, as Freud thought. It's also an infinite source of wisdom, creativity, and potential. He called it the collective unconscious, that part of us that connects with something bigger, with universal archetypes, with the accumulated wisdom of all humanity. Imagine for a moment that you could access that unlimited source, that you could connect with that inner abundance so profound that it would transform your entire outer world. That's exactly what happens when you decide to let go of your past. But how do we know we're holding on to the past? The signs are everywhere if you know where to look. Perhaps you constantly think about what could have been. Maybe you compare yourself with an idealized version of yourself. Or possibly you feel you don't deserve more than what you have now, because that's how it's always been. Jung talked about the shadow, those parts of ourselves we've repressed, denied, or forgotten. Curiously, that's where much of our capacity for abundance hides. In what we've rejected about ourselves often lies our greatest treasure. Have you denied yourself the possibility of being prosperous because at some point you internalized that money is bad? Have you limited your capacity to receive love because once your heart was broken? Have you reduced your ambitions because someone told you that you weren't enough? Abundance begins to manifest when we dare to look these beliefs in the face, when we recognize them not as truths, but as interpretations that once served us to survive, but now keep us trapped. Jung taught us about the process of integration. It's not about eliminating parts of yourself, but embracing them, understanding them, and transforming them. When you integrate your shadow, when you accept all your parts, even those that embarrass you, that's when you become whole. And it's from that wholeness that abundance naturally flows. Let me share something you may have never considered. Your resistance to letting go of the past isn't just yours. We live in a society that values nostalgia, that idealizes the good old days, that constantly tells us we were better before. This collective mindset filters into our unconscious and strengthens our own resistance to change. Jung firmly believed in the importance of symbols and dreams as bridges to our unconscious. Have you noticed that you dream about places from your childhood? Or people who are no longer in your life? Your mind is processing, trying to resolve, seeking to integrate. Listen to those messages. Now, letting go of the past isn't a one-time event. It's not something you do on a Friday afternoon, and by Monday you're transformed. It's a process, a journey, a commitment to yourself. Jung described it as the work of a lifetime, truly knowing yourself, integrating all your parts, becoming who you really are. This process requires courage. It requires that you be willing to look at uncomfortable truths about yourself. It requires that you question narratives you've taken for granted your whole life. It requires that you dare to imagine a version of yourself that isn't limited by what once happened to you. Think about that belief you've been carrying for years. What if it weren't true? What if you could rewrite your story? What if your past didn't determine your future? Jung taught us that the true purpose of life isn't to achieve perfection, but wholeness. You don't need to be perfect to deserve abundance. You need to be authentic, integrated, conscious. When you begin this journey of letting go of the past, something extraordinary happens with your relationships. You stop looking in others for what you haven't healed in yourself. You stop projecting your unresolved wounds onto those around you. You begin to attract relationships that reflect your new level of consciousness, not your old wounds. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to naturally attract opportunities, connections, and resources? Jung would say, it's not luck or privilege, it's internal alignment. When you release the burdens of the past, your energy changes, your vibrational field transforms, and the outer world responds accordingly. This is precisely what Jung called synchronicity. Those seemingly casual events that appear to be significantly related, though there's no obvious causal connection. When you release your past, you begin to experience more synchronicities. The right things arrive at the right time. The right people appear just when you need them. But here's the challenge. To experience this synchronicity, first you must be willing to immerse yourself in uncertainty. You must let go of control. You must trust the process. And this is frightening for many of us. We cling to our past, despite its pain, because it's known. We know what to expect. Even if it's suffering, at least it's familiar. Jung understood this perfectly. We prefer the certainty of known pain to the uncertainty of unknown healing. Think about that toxic relationship you keep returning to, or that job you hate but don't dare to leave, or those self-destructive financial patterns you repeat over and over. It's not that you don't know they harm you, it's that they give you a strange sense of security in their familiarity. Abundance requires that you dare to let go of this false security, that you venture into the unknown, that you trust that on the other side of your comfort zone, which is really a zone of familiar suffering, there's a world of possibilities waiting for you. Jung spoke of the individuation process, that journey toward becoming complete, integrated, and authentic individuals. It's a path that leads us to differentiate who we truly are from the masks we've adopted to please others, from the expectations we've internalized, from the wounds we've turned into identity. When you let go of the past, you're consciously choosing your individuation process. You're saying, I will no longer be a prisoner of what once happened to me. I choose to write my story from this moment. There's something deeply liberating in this decision, because, contrary to what many believe, your past isn't written in stone. The way you interpret it, the meaning you give it, constantly changes. Jung said that it's not what happened to you that matters, but the story you tell yourself about what happened to you. What if you could tell a new story? What if that rejection that hurt you so much was really the universe protecting you from something that wasn't for you? What if that loss that devastated you was actually a liberation disguised as tragedy? This reinterpretation isn't denial or toxic positive thinking. It's deep wisdom. It's understanding that reality is much more complex than it appears at first glance, that each experience contains multiple truths, and that you can consciously choose which one to focus on. When you transform the narrative of your past, you literally change your future, because your beliefs about what's possible for you are anchored in how you interpret what you've already lived. Jung also taught us about the importance of archetypes, those universal patterns that inhabit our collective unconscious. One of these archetypes is the phoenix, the mythical bird that is reborn from its ashes. This symbol is deeply rooted in our collective psyche because it represents a universal truth. From death comes life, from destruction emerges renewal. Think about the metaphorical deaths you've experienced, relationships that ended, jobs you lost, identities that no longer serve you. Each of these deaths contains the seed of a rebirth. Each ending is really a new beginning in disguise. Abundance awaits you in that rebirth, not despite your wounds, but precisely through them. Jung spoke of how our deepest wounds become our greatest gifts if we have the courage to transform them. That rejection that made you feel you weren't enough can become the driving force behind your success. That financial loss can transform into the wisdom that leads you to true prosperity. That betrayal can be the catalyst for much deeper and more authentic relationships. But to experience this transformation, you must be willing to fully feel, to go through the pain, not avoid it. Jung said that the path to heaven passes through hell. You can't skip the uncomfortable steps of the process. Many seek shortcuts to abundance. They want to manifest wealth without doing the inner work. They want healing relationships without first healing their own wounds. They want peace of mind without facing their inner demons. Jung would show us that this approach is fundamentally wrong. Real and sustainable abundance doesn't come from superficial manifestation techniques, but from a deep, internal transformation. It's not about attracting things to you, but becoming the person who naturally attracts what you desire. When you let go of the past, you literally release energy that was trapped in old patterns, old resentments, old identities. This released energy becomes your new creative power. Suddenly, you have internal resources that weren't available to you before because they were busy keeping your past alive. Think about how much emotional and mental energy you spend each day reliving past conversations, regretting old decisions, or worrying about wounds that should have healed already. What could you create if all that energy were available for the present? What could you manifest if your creative power wasn't fragmented? Jung firmly believed that each of us has a unique purpose, what he called our personal myth. This isn't a fixed and immutable destiny, but a direction, a call of the soul that guides us toward our most authentic expression. When you're trapped in the past, it's difficult to hear this call. The noise of your old wounds, your old beliefs, your old identities, drowns out the subtle voice of your purpose. But when you release those ties, when you let go of what no longer serves you, you create space to listen. And in that space, in that internal silence, you discover direction. You discover clarity. You discover a sense of purpose that transcends your fears and limitations. This purpose is the key to sustainable abundance, because when you live aligned with your personal myth, with your true nature, life begins to flow through you instead of colliding against you. Obstacles become opportunities. Losses transform into lessons. Endings make way for new and better beginnings. Jung also spoke about the concept of the golden shadow, those positive qualities you've denied in yourself. Perhaps you've been told so many times that you're not creative that you've come to believe it. Or maybe you've been made to feel that you don't deserve prosperity and you've internalized that belief. Or possibly you've been convinced that you're not intelligent, attractive, or capable enough. These denials form part of your golden shadow, your repressed gifts, your denied talents, your unrecognized qualities. And here's what's fascinating. Often, it's precisely these denied aspects that contain the keys to your greatest abundance. The process of reclaiming your golden shadow is revolutionary. Imagine discovering that you've always had the talent, the intelligence, the capacity that you believed you lacked. Imagine realizing that you deserve the prosperity, the love, the recognition you've been yearning for. This is the true liberation from the past, not just letting go of the pain, but also reclaiming the gifts you've denied. It's a dual process, letting go of what limits you and embracing what expands you. Jung taught us that this process of integration isn't something we do alone. We need mirrors, other people who reflect both our wounds and our gifts. We need community, safe spaces where we can be vulnerable and authentic. We need guides, mentors, therapists, teachers who have walked the path before us. In the modern world, it's easy to confuse independence with isolation. We believe we must fix ourselves alone, that asking for help is a sign of weakness. Jung would say this is precisely backward. True strength lies in vulnerability, in recognizing that we need others on our journey. When you allow yourself to be supported, you exponentially accelerate your process of liberation and transformation. Because others can see what you can't see. They can reflect your blind spots. They can hold space for your wounded parts with compassion and wisdom. This interconnection is, in itself, a form of abundance. Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, that network of shared wisdom that connects us all. When you open yourself to this connection, when you recognize that you're not really separate from others, you access resources infinitely greater than those you would have on your own. Think about the synchronicities you've experienced, those meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be casual. Jung saw these events as manifestations of our deep interconnection, as reminders that there exists a larger order, an intelligence that interweaves us all. The abundance you seek isn't separate from this network of connections. It's not something you obtain for yourself alone, at the expense of others. It's something that flows through you, to you, and from you, as part of a larger system. When you let go of the past, you don't just free yourself, you contribute to collective liberation. Because every time you heal a wound in yourself, you heal that same wound in the collective unconscious. Every time you transform a limiting belief, you weaken that belief in the shared consciousness. Every time you reclaim a denied gift, you make it easier for others to reclaim that same gift. Jung would invite us to see our personal work as a service to the whole, to recognize that our individuation isn't a selfish act, but an act of radical love that benefits everyone. Can you imagine a world where every person committed to this journey, where each of us had the courage to let go of our past and embrace our abundance? The transformation would be extraordinary, but it begins with you, with your decision today to no longer be a prisoner of what once happened to you, to no longer repeat patterns that no longer serve you, to no longer live a life that is too small for your soul. Jung said that the person who looks outward dreams, the person who looks inward awakens. It's time to awaken, to look inward with honesty and courage, to see not only your wounds, but also your extraordinary gifts, to recognize not only what you've suffered, but also what you've learned. This awakening is the true path to abundance. It's not a shortcut, it's not a quick technique, it's not a magic formula. It's a deep journey into yourself, into your wholeness, into your truth. And although this path may seem intimidating, remember that you've already survived the hardest part. You've gone through pain, you've faced losses, you've experienced disappointments, and you're still here. That resilience, that capacity to keep going despite everything, is your greatest strength. Jung would remind us that all transformation begins with a conscious decision, a moment when you say, enough, a turning point where you choose a new path, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Is this your moment? Is today the day you decide to let go of the past so that abundance can finally embrace you? Remember that you're not alone on this journey. Millions before you have walked this path of transformation. They've released their burdens, they've integrated their shadows, they've awakened to their true potential, and you can do it too. Imagine what your life would be like a year from now if, starting today, you truly committed to this process. How would your relationships change? How would your work transform? How would your relationship with yourself evolve? What abundance would flow to you if you were no longer blocking it with the wounds of your past? You don't have to imagine it. You can live it. You can experience it. You can become it. Jung taught us that your vision will become clear only when you can look into your heart. Whoever looks outside dreams. Whoever looks inside awakens. It's time to awaken to all that you can be, to let go of what no longer serves you, to open yourself to the infinite abundance that has always been your birthright. The journey begins with a single step, a single decision, a single moment of courage. This can be that moment for you. If this message has resonated deeply with you, if you felt something move within your being while listening to these words, take it as a sign. An invitation from the universe to begin your own process of liberation and transformation. You don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to resolve all your past wounds in one day. Start where you are. Take a small step today, another tomorrow, and another the day after. Remember that this channel exists to support you on your journey, to offer you wisdom, inspiration, and practical tools that you can apply in your daily life. You're not alone. Share this video with someone who you think might benefit from hearing this message. Sometimes, the right words at the right time can completely change the trajectory of a life. And if you've liked this content, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell to not miss future videos that might support you on your path. Let me know in the comments, what part of your past are you ready to let go of? What abundance are you prepared to receive? Your story may inspire others who are going through similar situations. Remember, when you finally let go of the past, abundance doesn't just embrace you, it transforms you. It reveals who you've always been, beneath all those layers of conditioning, beneath all those false identities, beneath all those wounds. And that authentic version of you is infinitely more powerful, more creative, and more capable than you've ever imagined. True abundance is waiting for you, not in some distant place, not in some future moment, but here and now, in the moment you decide to free yourself from the past and embrace all that you truly are. Thank you for being here, for your attention, for your openness. See you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring together the depths of the human psyche and the extraordinary potential that exists within each of us. Remember, you are the architect of your destiny, and the moment to build the life you truly desire is now, not tomorrow, not when everything is perfect, not when you feel ready, now, in this very instant. Abundance is waiting for you. Are you ready to receive it?